The Super Media Bros podcast is a founding member of the OddPods Media Network. Not surprisingly, this got so many negative reviews, but I kind of expected it to because it's a niche thing and not everybody's going to get it.
Yeah, I'm actually very much looking forward to this review because we have not spoken a word about our opinions on it. You have been in the trenches with this game for years, and I knew not a goddamn thing.
Welcome to the Super Media Bros podcast, where two best friends give comedically informative takes on movies, music, pro wrestling, and more. I'm Richie.
I'm Devin.
This is the end of Spooky Media Bros 2023. Happy Halloween and all that other shit, because this is Halloween Day, and typically our last episode of the month drops on Halloween because, god damn it, what better way to end it than with Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie based on the video game franchise of the same name. I fucking actually loved this a lot.
Whew, man. All right. Let me get the shield. Dog, I was so fucking lost the whole way through.
It's okay.
All right, so I was actually watching it with a group of friends, and all but like one loves the games. And so I recognized when things were Easter eggs for the most part. There were a couple of things that, because they were just watching the movie, they got quiet. And in that instance, there were moments like, supposedly, I didn't realize until later on, Golden Freddy. They had said the name, I assumed it would be Golden. And so whenever, almost to the end credits, I was like, wait, if that bear was here, then did I doze off? Why is he damaged now? Like, I thought it was the same fucking Freddy. You know, little things like that kind of lost in translation.
Yeah, like you talk about all the animatronics that are just shoved off in the back and they're just parts on the ground and shit.
See, that I understood those were little Easter eggs, nothing more, nothing less. But I'm talking like specifically when Golden Freddy went to the house and all that stuff. But then when they got back to the actual restaurant, my man's was still vibing.
Again, spoilers abound, everybody, for fuck's sake. The movie and the video games are similar and a little different. Like, everybody was like, oh, they changed the lore. And I'm like, they really didn't change very much about it. It was like small.
Mm-hmm.
Like small details here and there. The whole thing about the children being in the suits is not something that got really changed. It's something that's referred to in the games quite often. They even made reference to it with the big reveal at the end, which a lot of people sadly got spoiled for them just reading casting, which I think is fucked up.
Yeah, you would think they would.
Well, I avoided anything. For this movie because I wanted to see what it was like. Because typically I can't avoid spoilers because I run our social medias and that shit is everywhere.
Right, yeah.
And I can't believe that I did. You know, as long as I did. I watched this at home. I didn't go see this. My son actually went to go see this in theaters and we just watched it again this morning and he loved it. And he's a huge FNAF fan. So I figured if anybody was going to be as hard on this movie, like it would be him. And he fucking loved it. He was just like, dude, he's like, if anything, they took it and made it its own thing with what they did change. He said it was pretty fucking faithful, which it was pretty goddamn faithful to the games. Like I said, just a few things here and there were different. Not by very much, though.
So listening to you talk about it, I don't know. It's kind of poetic in a weird way. Very apropos because I was talking to a coworker, shout out to Aubrey, and we were talking about this movie and everything. And she had said, yeah, I'm looking it up right now. And oh God, the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are horrible. And I was like, I don't go based off of that anymore because so many movies that I love get lost in translation with them. Batman vs. Superman, I'm unapologetic about. And it's funny that I brought it up because after that movie ended, I felt the same way that people that don't read comic books felt with that movie because it was such a if you know kind of movie the whole fucking way through. Because I could tell that something was going on, like with the dream sequences.
Yeah.
They were talking about like, oh, that's what this is, blah 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 blah. He probably doesn't know what it is, and I was like, I think I get it because that kid's got bunny ears, that kid's got the hook. Like, I was picking it up, but I wasn't fully grasping. Objectively, if you cut out everything that is related to, oh, you don't know the games, just looking at it as a movie, I do think that there is way too much going on.
You mean did you feel like it would have been confusing for anybody that like is like you, I don't think you're brand new because you knew of it, but anybody that has literally never heard of fuck all to do with this would be just like, what the hell's happening?
My only idea of it was that a lot of kids played it, so I ridiculously assumed that it was a children's game. It wasn't until like people were saying, what do you mean it's not rated R? And I was like, wait, what?
It didn't need to be rated R.
No. God, there's so much to go into here. I'm just saying, like, I feel like this should have been a very simple movie. I would have done without all of the subplots.
Like, which ones?
Oh, damn near all of them.
No, but there's a point to this. Which subplots?
The sister, the custody battle, the missing brother, the like. To me, this could have been a 5-film, pun intended, series, and each one builds onto the varying subplots. This should have been just a very simple security guard got fucked into this situation. Maybe he's actually trapped. Like, he can't get out, and he spends 5 nights there. That's how I would have done it. Cut out all of the subplots because, as it stands, this is a over hour-and-a-half movie, and it's called Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's really 30 minutes at Freddy's.
He actually does spend a few days there.
It just didn't feel like I knew that because of the timeline, and he kept going to sleep and everything. Like, I recognize it. It was just like it didn't feel like I don't know. I just kept waiting for more.
No, I don't think you have this movie without the subplots. I have a few reasons why. So I'll get into them as we go through. First of all, if it's not bad enough that the main antagonist of this movie murdered the shit out of these kids, to find out that this dude has been trying to keep this, because that's the thing, is like, how else do you explain this fucker keeping this job? Why would anybody take this job?
Right.
He's troubled. Obviously, he's got shit going on. Anybody with that much shit going on needs a fucking job. He's got the relationship he has with his sister because that's what's driving him to do what he's doing.
That's true.
Giving the PTSD that he's got from losing his little brother and how he finds out he's gone and who he lost him to, that all culminates together, and it a big spoilers abound, everybody. Like 3, 2, 1. Matthew Lillard is your big bad guy here, playing William Afton, but he's under the guise. Great. Oh, absolutely. He's under the guise of a job/guidance counselor for Josh Hutcherson's character, which, you know, again, if you didn't realize that was going to be the big bad, and the character of Vanessa, I don't believe is his daughter in the video game series. She is a police officer/security guard that had to do with FNAF like forever ago, or the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. But making that his daughter was a big deal, it kind of added like more of an element to the drama. But finding out that the little brother was one of the victims of William Afton is a big fucking deal, because Matthew Lillard is so beloved as a person, it's hard to picture him as a bad guy. In fact, I said during watching this, it's nice to see him play a villain again because he's good at it, but the way in which he did it was fucking just, it's gross. Because where everybody's like, this should have been a rated R movie. It didn't need to be PG-13. Where was the gore? First of all, the games didn't have as much gore as you think they did. All your imagination did that for you, and that's important. Secondly, that is the horror of this movie, is what this man did to these fucking kids. Yeah, and that is one thing that I really loved and wish that they would spend even like a couple of more minutes on, because we always say like, oh, add 5-10 minutes here. Really and truly, like, if it's exclusively this element, 2 minutes will go a long way. 2 minutes of just them explaining, like, dog, there are actual, like, ghostly spirits in these animatronics, and it's like a rotten, decaying corpse in there that's just mangled and gross. Like, that's all stuff that I know they touched on, but I just, dude, I would have, maybe it's the serial killer documentary viewer in me, but dude, I could have gone for so much of just that, because that was sick. And it was unexpected. I didn't know about it. And that's the whole thing. This is definitely something to watch. It's one thing I want to say is that I think it's a very good gateway for kids into horror.
Yes, it feels like a Goosebumps, sort of.
I was going to say this is like Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I know a lot of people that's like, I've seen people be like, this movie was so terrible. It's the worst thing. I said this on our social media and I'm going to say it again right here. This was not, if you're a horror movie fan, this was not made for you. This was not made for you. This was made for Five Nights at Freddy's fans. And I think it delivered on every goddamn thing that it was going to do. Now, Josh Hutcherson plays Mike Schmidt, who is the security guard at Fazbear's Pizza, which he gets this job because we open up on him having like a security guard job anyway. And he chases this dude down in the mall who it looks like he's kidnapping this child.
Yeah.
And this is where you kind of like, well, what the fuck? Like, okay, sure, that might have been a little extreme what he did, but when you find out why he's doing what he's doing, these subplots make you have emotional attachment to these characters. If we just said, here's stupid bumblebutt fuck off in a security suit getting harassed by animatronics for 5 days, sure, we get the video game aspect, but there's really nothing to invest in emotionally here.
I think at that point, people would want it to be R because then it's kind of like with Terrifier and you just want to see them do really fucked up shit.
And what you don't see them do is even more fucked up because what little that you do see them do, you're like, I actually had a holy shit moment.
Is it the eating?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, again, we'll get to that in a minute, but he's having what we think is a friend of his watch his sister because he's got custody of his little sister while he's, at this job, which he gets put there by a career counselor, Steve Raglan, who is played by Matthew Lillard. And he offers him the job at Fazbear's Pizza. And he only accepts the job because social services is threatening to take custody of his sister and give them to their aunt, who is a fucking bitch.
Yes.
And she's played by Mary Stuart Masterson, which I was actually really shocked to see her in this because, like, she's been in some fucking Oscar winners, bro. Like, she was in fucking, like, Fried Green Tomatoes and shit. And I'm like, bro, she's a total cunt in this movie.
You can tell that she earned those Oscars, honestly, because, like, she looked at what the source material was, who the target audience was, and everything. And she felt like the same way that Bela Lugosi felt in Dracula, where it's like, everybody's talking all campy and everything, and she's just then
this bitch chewing the scenery.
That's what I'm saying. And then you get to Bela Lugosi, and he's like, "No, I'm not doing Broadway. I'm acting for a motion picture." Everybody was taking this so deathly seriously, and she almost felt like she was like, I wouldn't say hamming it up, but she was more like felt like she had more oomph.
She was over-delivering in the best way.
Yes.
And we need more of that, honestly, in horror. Especially something that you need emotional attachment and investment to. I don't even remember how long into the movie her character appeared where I was like, I hope she gets fucking got. I was like, I hope she gets fucking murked.
And then you got, what was the dude's name? Doug? The lawyer? Was it Doug?
Oh, that poor bastard. Yeah, bro. That motherfucker just did not want to be there. I feel like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I got out of it. I feel like he was all of us as the outside viewer in where we're like, this is uncomfortable. I do not want to be here.
Now that you're saying it, because full disclosure to everyone. Not only have I never played a fucking game, never even saw gameplay, but also I was at a Halloween party and I just started munching on food. And then finally they were like, Devin, did you eat the Twinkies with the vanilla or the chocolate? And I was like, the chocolate, duh. So I was fucked up on edibles during this movie, filled with lore and from something that I have no idea what the source material is. What the fuck happened to the lawyer? Like, because whenever I first saw him, I was like, is this a fever dream? What is this movie? And then later on, he goes, I'm a lawyer. I shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. Did he die? Did we see him again? Did he leave?
I'm pretty sure he left, dude, because...
Okay, because I missed that, and I was like, what is happening in this movie?
My man's was low-key trying to take notes in this bitch, I think, and like, dude, I'm telling you.
Because like, it was so caught up with, all right, I got to do a review on this. All right, I'm trying to watch this objectively. All right, I'm trying to keep up with all the lore because I don't know who anybody in this is. Okay, I'm listening to all my friends kind of talk about it, and I'm picking things up as I'm going along. Okay, what is this plot? Wait, what is that plot? Wait, what what's going on? Like, dude, when I tell you it was so fucking much, your boy was overstimmied.
That scene in particular, because there's a couple of cameos from some YouTubers in this movie that I totally forgot that was happening.
I did pick up on that. Yeah, good for them.
Yeah,
by the way.
Well, Markiplier was supposed to be the security guard in the beginning.
That would have been so cool, but
he was filming Iron Lung, so he couldn't do it, and which that would have been fun. But Mad Pat was the Sparky's Diner waiter, which Sparky, the name Sparky, is actually a discarded / like deleted character from the FNAF universe. Like that was an entirely different character that they just never used, which I think is funny.
Yeah, and his appearance got a big pop out of the room that I was in because
he even said the thing.
That's what I was gonna say. Is apparently it went over my head, but he had said like a catchphrase or something like, "Yep, it's just a theory" or something like that.
That's it. Yeah. Yep. And Corey Kenshin showed up as a cab driver later.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and those two are, along with Jacksepticeye and Markiplier, they are known for being FNAF players. If anything, Markiplier, I think, was the biggest loss for this movie because he is probably the most well-known FNAF YouTube player. Like so. Yeah,
because like after the movie ended and everybody was talking about it, they were like, "Oh yeah, such and such's cameo and all that other stuff." And at the time, aside from the diner, I didn't know who they were referring to or when, but I was like, dude, that's fucking cool for them though.
Right.
It's really awesome.
And it's at that diner we get like a next little bit of plot, which again, this goes back to me saying we really need this plot because the animatronics are not immediately looking at, they're not immediately labeled as bad guys per se. Although they do have intentions later on that are a little revealed, we also find out that they're blinded by a specific thing that they are not aware of, which, again, we'll get to. But the aunt is paying off the friend who's been watching Abby, which this is fucked up. She has been watching her to spy on Mike to get her like details on, oh, well, I can use this against him and all this other shit. And she's like, well, you haven't found anything other than he's good to the kid and he's fucking doing this shit he's supposed to be doing. So she's like, we'll fuck up his job. And so they send the dude that she's with at the diner and two of his friends to go fuck this Fazbear's Diner up. And they do. But you kind of needed that to get some of the first kills from the animatronics.
Right, yeah.
Outside of that first security guard. Now, this kind of leads to the holy shit moment that I had where these fuckers get murked greatly because I fucking love the way they did it. And the animatronics from Jim Henson's Creature Shop were fucking brilliant.
Oh, dude, they looked incredible.
They couldn't have done any better. And that's another thing that I do want to mention real fast is I think that the set design, the character design and everything was so faithful, yet they made it feel like this was an actual place at the same time.
I kind of got that feeling because, like, this is coming from somebody who, like I said, never played. But hearing everybody being like, oh, dude, that looks just like the game, like, I kept hearing that. So I was, like, making mental notes of, like, okay, so this part's well done, that part's well done, like...
I want you to go, like, to not even to follow up on this because I know they're going to do a sequel, but like when we do that, definitely go check out some of Markiplier's playthroughs of it because he gives probably the most detail, has cracked the lore of everything, playing the games, like, and it tells you the lore of the story, and you get really great looks at all the locations because the games time jump a little bit because there is a story that goes all the way back to like the late 70s and the early 80s and shit. This franchise and the look of the entire interiors of the pizzeria, it's very much based on like Chuck E. Cheese, the Celebration Station, any kind of chain indoor family event center that revolved around pizza, during that era. Very well done. Also, the movie was set in 2000.
I was going to bring that up because you had said timelines and it made me remember that I saw that on the security footage. Does that mean anything in the game's lore?
Yes, because the first Five Nights at Freddy's is in 1998. There is an incident referred to as if I fuck this up, I know the fan base is going to fucking murder me. But there,
I feel like I'm already a red flag target for them right now.
Well, no, so the thing is like, I promise we're going to the movies and shit, but I feel the need to bring this lore up for fucking reasons, okay?
Yeah,
so
ahead.
The Bite of 1983, the Bite of 83 is a thing where a kid was killed by one of the animatronics at the facility, and basically this kid was bullied by his friends and his brothers over his fear of this place. And he winds up being the protagonist of one of the video games.
Oh, wow.
So that's how far back in lore, in time, this goes, as far as like this pizzeria has had issues and fucking incidents for years.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, they did it very well with William Afton's role, because it was all in the game. It's rumored that the victims of the kids, the bodies of the victims, being the kids that he killed, were shoved inside these animatronics, like just stuffed in to hide the evidence, basically. Because who the fuck would, like they even said in the movie, who the fuck's going to look at a children's pizzeria?
Yeah.
For the evidence and shit. But that's pretty much what killed the business off. That's why it closed, because all the rumors got to it and they shut it down. And he kept it open because, I mean, for fuck's sake, it's his baby, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anyway, they're fucking this location up, and the holy shit moment arrives when his babysitter, Max, she goes looking for the dudes after they're getting fucking killed, and she comes across Freddy, and she's like, what the fuck? And she puts a chair down and gets, like, within, like, face to face of him. Then you see a hand claw come out and grab her. Then you see the shadow of her getting pulled into its mouth, and you hear a chomp, and then they cut back like away from the shadow, and you see like a bloody bottom half of her body just fucking hit the floor.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, because first of all, very well done.
Yes.
That's gonna scare the fucking shit out of some kids that are watching this, and I fucking love it.
It's funny because like we were all talking, and the general consensus in the group was, it's not the fact that it's PG-13, it's the fact that you can see where it didn't need to be, like almost like they were like, hey, keep in mind this is PG-13. You know, and so they were trying to, I don't want to say cut the balls off of themselves, but you see what I'm saying here.
Right.
The thing is, though, if that was R, that shock value, gone.
And that's my entire point.
Yeah.
Like, to anybody, like, I agree with you, but like anybody out there that's like, it should have been rated R. Like, nah, dude, because a lot of the death and a lot of the shock factor hits much harder when you're not expecting it. You're like, oh, this movie's gonna fucking so good, PG-13. Holy, that's why I did a holy shit.
Right.
Because I was like, fuck, I wasn't expecting it.
It's just like with the Watchmen comic book, dude,
Sure.
where it's very subtly violent throughout the whole thing, and then you get to the squid, and it's panel after panel of just carnage and gore.
Right.
That's what makes that whole chapter so chilling.
Yeah.
Is because the whole time you didn't live in that world, so to speak. I mean, you did, but just not as extreme. So that is one thing that I will say, like, to the director's credit. It's such a fascinating movie to me because I've been deep diving in reviews and listening to takes on it from both gamers and just film critics alike. And it really is split down the middle. You can definitely tell without even listening to the intro to each video or review who played the games. Because I think it's a lot like with me where the reviewers of just movies are completely confused and lost.
And I mean, that's another reason why I was like, this was not made for horror fans, dude.
Right.
Like, this is 100% aimed at like the consumers of this franchise. And there's enough of them. I mean, for fuck's sake, they came out of the woodwork when we did our damn Willy's Wonderland review.
Yes. And I do love that movie.
Same.
That was sick.
Same. But yeah, like as the movie progresses, more of the story is unfolding where Mike is dreaming nightly about the event in which his brother was stolen. He doesn't know who did it, and that is in his dream that he can't remember exactly who it was that did it. And he keeps seeing these children that are haunting his dreams, but the children show up when he's at the pizzeria. And we come to find out that these are the souls of the children that were murdered by the owner of this place, and they keep referring to a yellow rabbit. And as soon as they said that, I mean, obviously I know the lore and shit, but as soon as they were talking about, oh, the yellow rabbit, I was like, motherfucker, that is Springtrap, Spring Bonnie. Like, that is like the suit that William Afton was wearing to fucking kill him and shit. So I knew that was going to happen at some point. The way it happens later is fucking brilliant. But again, this all kind of goes into the whole, story of Mike and everything, which, I want people to watch and get into that on their own. But eventually it comes out that Vanessa knows about more than she's letting on. And when you were referring to Golden Freddy earlier, that is never like explicitly mentioned. So unless you're paying attention, you really don't fucking know. And that all kind of goes back to like, if you don't know this, you won't know the difference.
Right.
Because Golden Freddy is an extra Fazbear suit that is haunted by a completely different kid altogether. There's a child in the movie that has he's got like a hat. There's a blonde kid who is the first kid to talk to Josh Hutcherson in his dream, where he's like, well, we want Abby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give us anything, we want Abby. Okay. So he's the blonde kid that haunts Golden Freddy, which is, it's a different Fazbear altogether. But unless you know that, you kind of like, what the fuck,
Yeah, that and my buddies kept saying, oh, that's the purple man. They kept saying it, and I was looking around, and I was like, I don't see a purple man.
Yeah, that's...
I would... Dude, like I brought up with Batman vs. Superman, so much of the criticism for that movie was, like, just honest criticism, but a lot of it, too, was, and you and I have talked about it a million times, where it's like, dude, you don't read the comics. Like, we enjoyed it because we know what they're referring to, and the implications of this or that or the Easter egg. Like, I fucking get it now. I understand why Batman vs. Superman was so frustrating for some people, because now I'm so fucking like, there's such a disconnect. There's like a giant fucking wall, and I'm so confused, but I'm also so like, I have to know.
Would you say that it's fair that you're now going to probably more than likely deep dive this lore?
Probably, yes. If you had asked me late last night when the credits were rolling, I was like, no, because I don't get this movie. Like, I was looking at it from a biopic perspective, where after a good biopic, you as an audience member is like, well, they touched on this subject. I want to learn more about this. Or if it's a musician, I want to listen to all their music. This movie didn't make me want to play the games because I'm so confused and pissed off. But now I'm just like hearing you talk more and more, and I'm like, okay, wait. This is all very intriguing to me. I like the storyline. I'm just confused.
And when we come back from this break, we're going to unconfuse the fuck out of Devin. You're listening to the Super Media Bros podcast on the OddPods Media Network. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, this is Russ.
This is Kyle.
This is Michelle.
From the Infectious Groove Podcast. Join us every Monday for the most fun you can have with a music podcast. The Infectious Groove Podcast uses a positive and fun approach as we take time every week to share our jammy jams, then dig into a thought-provoking topic discussing all decades and genres of music. You can find the Infectious Groove Podcast on all major podcast platforms, or you can head to infectiousgroovepodcast.com to find us there and subscribe. We might have a controversial opinion here or there, but we always have fun with it.
Oh, I'm sure I'll say something dumb.
Subscribe to the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the OddPods Media Network.
All right, so we're back, and we're going to continue to unconfuse the fuck out of Devin. And the rest of you that may be confused, I'm not sure. But I think it's funny that one of the first jump scares in this movie was the balloon boy, which I'm sure your boys probably jumped for that too.
Yeah.
He was in the locker. He's a little fucker.
And it was a reoccurring little sight gag. So even if I was watching it by myself, which, good Lord, that would have been a fucking test. But if even still, because it was a reoccurring sight gag, it was still excusable because it now becomes a running gag and joke throughout the movie. So I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the cupcake.
Mr. Cupcake is fun. I fucking love that little bastard. I enjoyed all of the unassuming nature of these costumes because as the games progress, the costumes get more and more fucked.
That's cool. I like that.
At one point, like there's a Freddy that has like several sets of teeth that are sharpened, and there's many animatronics. There's Golden Freddy, and these aren't just variations of Freddy. I'm just talking in general. There's like Springtrap, which is another variation of the Yellow Bunny. There's a lot of different shit. There's even a sister location video game with completely new characters in the lore, but.
Actually, I did catch that in one of the reviews that I was listening to that they said Springtrap. And he was like, oh, dude, and then in the second one, Springtrap. And I was like, wait, I thought Springtrap was... So let me ask you this, like, is a Yellow Bunny going to be, like, back in the second one? Like, is this, like... Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Is it like an upgrade or is it a reincarnation?
No, I will get there. Holy shit.
Because I wasn't sure if it was like reincarnated because he said he comes back, which also got a pop from everybody. So I assume that's a catchphrase of some sort. I wasn't sure if it was reincarnation or if actually Vanessa is going to survive and then be a copycat killer. I wasn't sure.
No, it's definitely a thing.
Okay.
So in the back half of this movie, Mike is threatened by Vanessa to never take her with him to the pizzeria because he has to, because Max obviously goes missing and he doesn't know this because she's been killed and doesn't realize that this has happened. So she makes friends with the animatronics, which she figures out they love drawings because she drew a heart for Freddy. And, you know, it's one of those moments where you're just like, oh, these little fuckers they're nice, I guess. Mm-hmm. And again, it's giving you a little more sympathy towards the children that were fucking murdered because really you're only fearing what the animatronics are. These kids don't know any different like than what they're doing or what they're believing because they're still kids. Mm-hmm. But
I was bittersweet on that because on one hand, it added so much depth. On the other hand, it's like, I think the issue is not the fact that there's so much lore. I feel like some of it is, dude, save that for part 2 because if we feared these things throughout the whole movie and then in the second one you kind of see this moment, I feel like I would have been even more touched in a way.
There's more to it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much lore to this fucking franchise. You can go anywhere you want to with it, really.
Okay.
But basically what happens is he dreams again, Mike does, and the children are like, hey, you can stay with Garrett, your little brother, forever, but we want Abby. And he kind of agrees to it, but he doesn't agree to it whenever they bring her name up. He just agrees, yeah, I'll give you whatever you want, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the blonde kid that made this deal possesses the damaged Freddy animatronic and shows up and kills the aunt and takes Abby from the house, and which I think is funny. This is the cab driver Corey Kenshin cameo.
That's neat.
Where he's in there and he's like, yeah, what? And he looks in the back and he's like, oh God. And it's like the big fucking suit. And he's like, man, I always get the weird ones. And he like drives off and shit, that was pretty funny. But one thing I thought was wild is that anytime Mike got attacked in his dream, he woke up fucked up, kind of how in the Freddy Krueger world happens.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I kind of made a mental joke of. Because I was like, wait, so you're trying to have this dream so that you can go into the real world with this information. You're reverse Freddy Krueger, basically.
It's kind of that way, but it's also him tapping into a subconscious where we bury shit. But it was funny to me.
Yeah, like I understood it, but after a couple of dream sequences, first one, like I said, I was fucked up.
Yeah, and Foxy fucks him up real good, dude. And I'm just like, fuck, dude. The animatronics kind of have their asses handed to them, you know, when he electrocutes them and all this other shit. But Steve shows up and reactivates them. And he's wearing that yellow rabbit suit. And this is the reveal where Vanessa shows up and she's like, Dad, stop. Because like she has told Mike, this is like her dad like has done this shit to these kids. And she shows Mike a picture of the yellow rabbit and, you know, his little brother in the suit. And he's like, well, what the fuck? And, you know, Steve shows up in the suit and he reveals himself as William Afton, the owner and creator of all of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like he fucking stabs, or he murders her. At first you think he's murdering her, but she survives, thankfully. He's going to murder his own daughter. And you're like, God damn, this dude's fucked in the head.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at with the whole, like, does he come back? When he's like, yeah, I always come back. If these kids that are ghosts are in these suits, how he's wearing the suit, but the thing malfunctions and starts piercing into his ribs and everything else. Like, he's basically being killed by this fucking suit. He's going to bleed out and become one with this fucking suit. His soul's going to be, like, merged with this fucking thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at, dude. Like, so he's becoming Spring Bonnie, like Springtrap, basically, in this fucking suit.
I thought he was just dead.
No, hell fucking no.
I was just like, okay, so you kill off the franchise's big bad in the first movie. It's happened before and they come back, or maybe to the credit of whomever, they were like, well, we want to wait and see how it's received. We want to make sure it makes money, et cetera, et cetera. Let's make this a giant love letter to the whole franchise. And if it is good enough, then we'll figure out how to bring him back.
And here's where I get to blow your mind a little more.
Okay.
William Afton is Purple Man. He's the purple guy.
That's what I thought people were saying. Like all my friends and everything, but I was like, wait, what? But he's not wearing, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where does the name Purple Man come? Because I kept looking for somebody in a purple suit, or I thought, that one.
Oh, Bonnie?
Bonnie, yeah. I thought Bonnie was maybe the Purple Man. When I tell you, dog, I don't know if I've ever been more confused by a film. Inception, I was like, yeah, I get it. I mean, it takes you a watch or two to get every little detail. This one, though, I was like, please don't pop quiz me. For God's sake.
Purple guy he looks this way because in one of the games, there's a mini game where he appears like this to the kids or whatever. It's like a little small miniature game. But the whole I always come back line is from Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. It's from that game.
Okay.
He's also in like his soul lives on and is carried on, or his role as like the main antagonist gets carried on eventually by a character called the Mimic, who is also Glitch Trap and Burn Trap. These are other fucking entities that appear way later or whatever. But that's why I'm saying, like, you could go further with this if you want to, because he's killed by by the animatronic suit, because Abby draws the yellow bunny murdering all the kids. So when the children that are possessing the other animatronics see this is why they turn on him and fuck him up, and they just drag him off and shit.
So are her drawings, like, first of all, is that an aspect of the game, or is that for the movie?
That was something for the movie.
Okay.
But in the games, there are several children involved in these little smaller, like, game, like, miniature games and shit like that. Because the more you play the games, the more that gets revealed. For fuck's sake, the fourth game takes place, you're in bed in a house, and the two doors on either side of the, quote, security room is not the security room. You're having to check both doors to your bedroom and your closet and under your bed and behind you and shit. That fourth game is probably the scariest game in the franchise, to be honest with you. But as far as the timeline goes, like, the second game jumps back in time, and then the third game jumps even further in time, but it's all correlating together with the same story. Like, these games reveal more about the lore of this whole story as it goes on. This movie only touches lightly. And the reason I brought up the sister location thing is because when Chica is trying to kill Abby, the animatronic she's trying to shove her in is very reminiscent of Baby, which is it's an animatronic from the sister location game. So I was like, is that a reference there? It definitely could be, because, the Easter eggs abound. They may not have thought they were going to make more than this one movie, so I understand why they were putting what they put in there. But the movie ends with all of that happening, and the animatronics dragging William Afton into a back room. Abby and Mike leave with Vanessa, and she's in a coma in the hospital, and he's looking after her, and then he's still looking after Abby. But in the end credits, there's a distorted voice. I don't know if you stayed all the way to the end.
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
so did you catch what it spelled out?
Wasn't it like "come find me"?
Yeah. So that was in one of the games.
Is that supposed to be Springtrap, or is that supposed to be like? Because I just assumed that it was Garrett. Like
No,
the
it's
spirit of Garrett.
No, it's a reference to Golden Freddy.
Okay.
So it's more than likely the blonde kid. Like
Okay.
what I would assume, the blonde kid to me represented like the vengeful child of the 5
Mhm.
that were murdered. Which, I mean, you got to expect that at some point. But that's a reference to Golden Freddy, which I thought was a really nice little Easter egg. Again, this movie already has a sequel in development.
Nice. Good for them.
It made a shitload of money. If I'm not mistaken, this is Blumhouse's biggest opening weekend.
I think you're right. I
And
think I read that.
and I think it is one of, if not the biggest horror opening for a female director.
I didn't realize that.
In the words of Jason Blum,
Who's directing it?
Emma Tommy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So she helped co-write the screenplay with Scott Cawthon, who is the creator of the entire franchise. So he absolutely had his hand in this, which I thought was a really smart move, because most of the time when people get their hands on properties, they're just like, just give us permission. We got this from here. It's like, nah, Scott was very much hands on deck with this.
Well, wasn't it a one-man show for all of the games anyway?
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't had anything to do with the games for a little while now, because he's handed it off. Because he had been trying to hand it off in general, because it was getting to be too much and shit.
I can get that, yeah.
So
That makes sense.
yeah, so the movie so it's listed as a $20 million budget, but Jason Blum himself had said it's a $25 million budget. The movie earned over $130 million worldwide just this weekend.
Wow.
And to think about this movie opened in theaters and is also opened on Peacock in the same weekend. So that's impressive to me.
Yeah, because I actually did the math last night while we were watching it. There was about 8 of us. Then I know you watched it on Peacock. And in my brain, I was like, dog, if it's like $10 a ticket, holy shit. You know, like, let's actually do some fucking quick maths here.
Right. But you also got to think the way they do streaming revenue towards these movies that open, like, they take into account households that pay for this, that watch this. And I think what happens is a part of your premium goes towards like some.
Really?
I think that's how it works.
Okay. I actually didn't know that.
I could be wrong, but I want to say that that's how they do it. And plus, like, ad revenues and people that don't pay for premium that have ads during this, that's where the money, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, once again, horror turns a goddamn profit. And we said this on our Terrifier and our Terrifier 2 episode, that horror has like the best turnaround, like for budget to gross. It's almost impossible to lose with horror.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen movies with like the box office this movie has made. I've seen movies with over that in budget, and it's ridiculous. I don't feel like you need too much on your budget to make a great movie. I think this movie was it the greatest? No, I think it was good. It's better than people are giving it credit for being.
Yeah. I think so much of it was me being confused, and also kind of a question of like, I had the questions of who is this for also throughout because of the tone, because I was confused on like, wait, so if the games aren't just for children, but they have the children audience, but you're leaning towards it. Like, I was confused and just lost and scratching my head so many times, you know. What I want to do is do a deep dive on the games and then do a Redux review one day to see if like things get altered in my opinion.
Sure.
I think that'd be kind of cool, because I feel like we should do Redux reviews in general, because we've all been there where we watch a movie, we think we fucking hate it, and then sometime later we're like, it's not that bad actually.
Halloween 3 was that for me.
Then there was then there's also been instances where we loved something and then realized we were just drinking some Kool-Aid. You know, we were just excited.
Yep.
So I'd like to do that one day after I understand what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is 100% worth revisiting in the future for that, because again, there's a lot of lore to dig into. And there's books. There's even books on this where there's story. You don't have to, but there's side stories, and there's a little more to them. But if you don't want to play the games, because I will admit, playing the games, it's frustrating.
Plus, you know my schedule, dog. Like,
you would do best to watch some of Mark's playthroughs if you want to see how the gameplay works.
Mm-hmm.
then I would 100%, and I'll link them to you. There's YouTube videos that do deeper dives than we could ever probably do on this, because there are folks out there, and when I say the FNAF fan base is huge, I mean it's fucking huge.
Mm.
This movie proves that. I think there are so many folks out there that turned out in droves to see this because they're fans. The fans are, I'm definitely going to tell you what gave this movie its box office.
And that makes me happy, though. Like, sincerely, I do hope that fans of the games love this, because, like, I know it means a lot to them. I just need more context.
Did you happen to look at the critic score versus the audience score on this?
Yes. 27% versus what, 88?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has got to be one of the biggest divides I've ever looked at.
Yeah, and that's it. Whenever I saw that, that's whenever I knew, okay, so there's just a lot missing. It's not a bad movie. It's just one that I don't get.
I think that this might be a prime. Okay, so you know how folks are like, hey, man, why wasn't this Spider-Man movie more accurate to the comics? Why wasn't this Batman movie this much further like rooted in the comic lore, and they did all this shit for the movie and blah, blah, blah. I'm being objective here. I think this movie is a good, and that score actually is a very good case of what happens when you give everything in the kitchen sink to nothing but fans in the lore.
Yeah.
And you don't do nearly enough to draw a wider audience in, which I think that's what they were trying to do with the other subplots and shit like that.
Probably, yeah.
And then you have folks that are horror fans in general that were like, where's the gore?
Yeah.
You know, they pulled the whole Bobby Fish. Where's the line? Like, where's the blood? Because, like, for fuck's sake, dude, you didn't really need it. Again, this movie played on the whole, what is your imagination going to tell you that happened? And that's what the game does.
Mm-hmm.
They just pulled a fast one on you. I really feel like this movie did great, all things considered. It's just negative with critics. I think it's hugely popular in the eyes of the fans right now, and the box office is not gonna lie. You know?
Oh, for sure. I'll say this. There's not a lot of exposition. And so if you don't know what you're already watching, it really does come across as a fan film. And I mean that in a good way, but also in the sense of like, no, this is not meant for general audiences. We have a specific target in mind. So, like I said, BVS, you know, where, oh, you see this torched, spray painted on Robin suit. Well, who is that? You look closer and it's like, I guess it's Robin, but they never touch on it. They never explain what happened to Robin? Who did it? I guess it's Joker because of the ha ha ha, but where's he now? They don't even bring up Joker. Where did this all come from? And you and me watched it and was like, cinema.
Yeah, there's actually a picture rolling around, and it's like a really funny picture of like it's older Freddy Fazbear, and he's got this shit-eating grin on his face, and this is cinema, and it's pretty fucking funny.
And that's probably what it is, dude. Is I'm just sitting here like, I don't know the lore, and you're speaking to me as if I should. Like I'm so confused.
It's fun. Like I will say that it's fun. I don't think this movie is poor in any area, really, you know, and that's not me being biased. It's just me like telling people out there. It's like, dude, you can't go into this movie looking at what it is, expecting anything more than what you're getting. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I think that was another question too, was like, I didn't even know up until like an hour or two before the movie started. I still was like, what do you mean you're mad it's not R? Like, so that should tell you just how base my information was.
Right. Before we go, I want to point out something that I thought was really cool. They used the Living Tombstones song.
Yeah, they did get a big kick out of that, because wasn't that like a fan-made song?
It was the first song, like fan song, that was written about Five Nights at Freddy's, because there's a bunch of people out there. Try Hard Ninja is one of them that I really like, a lot of his songs about the franchise, but The Living Tombstone was like the first big one and they used it for the closing credits song, and I was like, this is so fucking cool. That's why I loved the fact that it was such a love letter to the fans, period, because the song's called Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's very well done, it's fun, and it's good. So, and then just a big shout out, this movie was shot in New Orleans, so
yeah, we were talking about that last night too. Is the actual building is that a real building, or is it like
they built
studio?
I'm sure they built it.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Like, I'm sure they built the sets, but like the exterior, I'm sure was a shot of something there. But
it'd be so cool if they actually kept that place renovated and you could go at night. Like, dude, how cool would that be?
Make that a haunted house over there.
Yup, where you could stay the night.
Like a dead and breakfast.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, you want to make some fucking money off this shit? Let's fucking go.
If you can stay all 5 nights without checking out, you get your stay for free. And that's what drives people to scare the fuck out of you to get the fuck out of this house.
Yeah.
Like, scare the kids so badly the kids want to fucking leave, and then like you're a parent and you could just get guilted into it. Like, fuck.
Dude, that'd be really fucking cool.
I think Universal, because you know how Universal does the Halloween Horror Nights every year?
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is going to be one of them.
That's fucking rad. Like,
yeah. So again, there is a sequel in development for this, and if they fast track it, I could see 2025.
Okay.
Like October 2025.
I mean, if the strikes go well.
I know.
I don't mean to laugh at it.
I am just not. I'm not surprised. I'm not like at all, but I'm just dumbfounded that these companies that make all this fucking money just don't want to pay their people worth the fuck. Dumb fucking stupid bastards. Any fucking way. Do support the actors that make these fucking things happen. Like, do support them, because the writer's strike, as far as I remember, had stopped.
They reached an agreement. Yes.
So please support these film, like, for the writers as well, because, like, goddamn.
I know it's easy to think, dude, you're actors, you're making millions of dollars.
They're not.
Well, the thing is like, they're not talking about your Dwayne Johnsons and your Chris Pratts and all that. They're talking about your indie guys, your guys that...
Your union guys, man.
Yeah, like your smaller guys that are just... We've all seen it in movies where, man, I'm just trying to find my next role. Like that.
We've had people like that on this fucking show in the past.
Yeah, like
our friends at Cinema Epic are some of those very people that this is their livelihood. This is their day job, dude.
Right. Like, it's not a matter of, well, then just work more or work harder. Like, because I know I'm very guilty of, whenever I hear like blue collar jobs talk about union, I'm very like guilty of thinking, because I'm in a blue collar job myself, I'm guilty of thinking, just fucking work. Just fucking put in overtime if you have to. Do something. We all have to work overtime, motherfucker. Do you see the economy? That's not what we're talking about. This is a completely different thing.
It's about giving them the fucking fair compensation.
It's basically, look at it as, do you want minimum wage? Well, yeah, I want that at least. Well, they don't get that. Like, they're not getting their version of minimum wage.
Right. And they're not getting paid what they're fucking worth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know? So again, support the writers and support the actors and shit, man. And we talk about these movies too because of it. Like, we want these fucking studios to also understand that, like, goddamn, like, you're not going to have this type of success if you keep fucking your actors and shit over, because the movie industry is going to fucking tank.
You know what, though? This movie, I'm so glad that, first of all, I am glad that we talked about it and you explained it, because when that movie ended, I was like, well, that was shit. And now that I understand more of it, I'm more willing to, like, do a deep dive. So good on you for explaining. But also, even if your explanation still made me go, well, I still don't like this movie, it goes to our point that we made a couple of episodes ago, where I said, make horror movies with iconic characters, because even if you make a first movie that is shit, if you fall in love with the concept and the iconic whether it's the slasher or the mystery of it, whatever the case may be, you're willing to say, I'll see the sequel, though, because there's potential. I just didn't like this one. So,
yeah.
To the studios out there, case in point.
Do your fucking job.
Yeah.
Visit supermediabrospodcast.com for past, present, and future episodes. Check out all the other shows on the OddPods Media Network by visiting oddpodsmedia.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, and Podchaser. And guess what else you can do? You can leave us a comment on our Spotify page. Yes, you can go to individual episodes, and it's going to be like, hey, what'd you think about this episode? Leave us a comment. Tell us what you thought about this episode on Spotify. Leave us comments on the YouTube page. If you go to the comment section below, leave us a fucking comment. I know we have a bunch of people that listen to us on YouTube, so fucking go do that there. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks for our 300th episode. That I can't fucking believe we're almost at 300 episodes. But we've been we've been asked, are you guys going to do some kind of like special celebration? Are you guys going to do like a best of? Are you guys going to do what are y'all going to do? Are you going to do some Q&As? What are you going to do? No, we're going to do the both the most stupid and smartest fucking thing you could ever goddamn do. We're going to carry on like it's just another day, but we're going to celebrate it in our own way because one of the first directors that brought Devin and I's friendship together was Zack Snyder. So what better fucking way to celebrate this friendship in this fucking show's 300th episode than by doing 300?
I am so excited.
Same. That is like when somebody's like, hey, man, do you know of any movie that is just testosterone? 300.
300. Predator, Mad Max Fury Road,
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Hell yeah, dog.
Like, I'm telling you, man, we're gonna dine in hell with the fucking Spartans, and we're gonna kick motherfuckers down holes. We're gonna beat the shit out of people wearing nothing but underwear. You know what I mean? Like, I love that movie so much.
Dude, that shit is sick, okay? Imagine being a small child when that thing came out and just being like, everything I knew has changed.
What a spooky season it has been. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for Spooky Media Bros 2023. This has been episode 298, Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. Go watch it on Peacock. Go watch it in a movie theater. And until next time, I'm Richie.
I'm Devin.
Shades on.
We're off.